No more waiting. No more games. UFC 294 is here. The lightweight championship of the world will be defended in Abu Dhabi this weekend. The champion, Islam Makhachev, riding a 12-fight win streak at lightweight, looking for his second successful title defense versus the same man. And that man is Alexander Volkanovski, the current featherweight champion of the world, a man that is 13-0 in his weight class at 145 pounds, but the lone loss of his career in the UFC is to Islam Makhachev. It's time to break it down. We're getting this fight on 11 days' notice, but it has everything about it that is a big fight feel. Let's talk some X's and O's, let's talk storylines, and let's talk excitement levels for this huge, huge main event. It doesn't get much better than a fight like this. It really doesn't. This is how it felt when these two were lined up to fight each other the first time. Islam Makhachev, Alexander Volkanovski. Volkanovski, the number 2 ranked pound for pound fighter in the world, the current sitting 145-pound featherweight champion. Islam Makhachev, the number 3 ranked pound for pound fighter in the world, putting up his title on 11 days' notice against the unoriginal opponent. And you just look at that record right there in the middle. 24-1 for Islam Makhachev, 13-1 in the UFC, 26-2, 13-1 in the UFC for Volkanovski. The exact same UFC records, a combined 50 wins and 3 losses. There's no way around it. You can't get a fight that is more high level than this right here. Champion versus champion, storylines out the yin yang. And let's start with that drama that led into this fight. Islam Makhachev was looking to have a rematch in the UFC 294 main event, but not against Volkanovski. It was supposed to be against Charles Oliveira. Charles goes down in round 5 of his final sparring session before traveling to Abu Dhabi. A nasty cut over his eyebrow, had to get it stitched up, did not want to compete at what he said was 80%, wanted to be a full 100% ready for Islam Makhachev, and you can't blame him there. But what does the UFC do? They go to the phones. They got to save this main event. They got to save this huge pay-per-view in Abu Dhabi, and in steps a sitting champion down a weight class, someone that has already lost to Islam Makhachev. But boy, oh boy, it came in exciting fashion and a classic, just phenomenal high-level main event fight that went down earlier this year, February to be exact, and we're getting it rammed back here, October 21st. Volkanovski, man, what more can be said about this guy? And to get it out of the way, credit to both men. Islam Makhachev by no means had to say yes to defending his title against a brand new opponent on this short of a turnaround, especially an opponent as prestigious and as talented as Alexander Volkanovski. But for Volk here, I just feel like this is where a vast majority of the story of the fight go. And it's that this man is trying to become a double champion, which is always a big deal. Maybe it's not as big of a deal now as it once was, but it's still a huge thing, especially for legacy purposes. And Alexander Volkanovski has made it clear he's all about legacy in this fight game. So looking to become a double champion. To do so, he must beat the man that has already beaten him, and not only just beaten him, but beat him this calendar year. It's not even been a full year since these two have fought. It will have been just a tad smidge over 8 months since these guys have fought. And it's up a weight class at 155 pounds, a class where you always look at Volk. He's never been the biggest, even at his own weight class of 145. He's constantly undersized. I mean, just look at those last 5 fights there. Yair, longer and bigger than him. Max, a little bit longer. Somehow the reach is always funny with Volkanovski. He even has a bigger reach than Islam. I'll never understand that. Korean Zombie, bigger than Volk. Brian Ortega, bigger than Volk. But it hasn't mattered when he steps into the cage with these people. The one time it did matter was that loss to Islam Makhachev. And it's not like Islam won that fight with ease. It was a very razor-thin, super competitive bout that could have honestly went either way. And it's a fight that still, even to this day, I could have easily find a reason to score it for either man. And it's those types of fights that you just got to love. You just got to enjoy. You just have to cherish because you don't get many like that, especially with these circumstances. So it is just an incredible thing that Volkanovski is trying to achieve here. And let us not forget that he said, regardless, win or loss, he's still trying to turn around in 3 months, fight in January, and defend his featherweight title against Ilya Topuria. And that's more of a Monday thing for sure, but it's just crazy everything going on and going in to this fight. For Islam, the protege of Habib, right? That's always been the label, if you will, attached to him. And, maybe that's good, maybe that's bad, but he's done nothing shy of living up to that. That is a lot of pressure if you really break it down and think about it. Habib retired at 29-0, was a champion, defended his title, had the biggest pay-per-view in UFC history against Conor McGregor, all these rivalries. Habib did it all, and he did it all flawlessly, or as close to flawlessly as you can. And Islam is doing a phenomenal job, if you ask me, in following in those footsteps and carrying that legacy forward for their camp, for Habib's father. He's won 12 fights in a row, only one falter in the UFC, and that was many, many years ago when he was brand new in the game. I think it was his second ever UFC fight. It's amazing how good Islam is, and at only still 31 years old, right in those prime years. And I want to bring this up too. This was something that Noah would always hit, and I loved when he would bring it up. Alexander Volkanovski, freshly 35 years old as of September 29th, just a few weeks ago. And once you hit that 35-year-old mark, if you're under 170 pounds, the odds are heavily stacked against you to win your matches, to win your title fights, to defend your title, capture a title if you're Volkanovski here. It's something along the lines of like 2-29 or 2-30 or something like that. And I think Tyron Woodley has both of those wins. I don't have that stat quite as locked down in my head like Noah did, but I hope I did him justice there. I believe it's something along those lines. So now that Volk has kind of crossed that Mendoza line, if you will, is that going to play a factor? Are Volk's best days behind him? Because we surely have not seen any signs of him slowing down. Even in a losing effort to Islam, there was no such thing as a slowing down marker for Volkanovski's career. He bounces back, fights in July against Yair Rodriguez, and damn near pitches a shutout and even finishes Yair Rodriguez. Man, I mean, this guy continues to get better and better, and I believe that the beauty about watching Alexander Volkanovski is his fight IQ and his ability to adapt alongside with his team to his opponents and the game plans that they are bringing into the cage. Volk will always have a great game plan coming in, but it's like those guys over in his camp prepare 6 or 7 different game plans, and they can choose to switch up to any of them at any given moment in any of these title fights that Volk has been in. And that is an amazing, amazing thing to see that you don't get to witness very often. But if there's someone that can match that, the fight IQ and the ability to adapt or stay stern on your strengths, even when your opponent is kind of just as good as you, it would be Islam Makhachev. Look at the victory he has against Volk. He did everything that he had to do to ensure a victory in that fight. And how is this fight going to play out any differently? Is it going to be another 5-round, just insanely high level title fight? It very well could be. But this is where that 11 days, that short notice has to come into play. Volk has made it clear that he's a dangerous man right now. Everything to gain, nothing to lose. He doesn't, I mean, obviously he cares if he loses here, right? He only gets so many opportunities to become a double champ. But in a sense, he's just coming in to try and wing it, try and make history, try and chase greatness. And if he loses, oh well. He goes back down and defends his own throne at featherweight. That's what is so cool about the way that this fight has came together. And Islam, not caring who it was ready to fight anybody. I'm pretty sure, I'm recording this before weigh-ins, but I think Matos Gamrot is also going to be in Abu Dhabi as a potential backup fighter, replacement fighter. Knock on wood, we don't need to see Matos. No offense to you, Matos Gamrot. You're a great fighter, but we got to see this fight get ran back, man. So this is going to be super, super exciting. I expect it to be high level. Do I see a finish? I have a hard time seeing a finish, and this is why. Because I don't see either of these guys getting finishes, right? I love watching them finish their opponents. Islam's done it in the past. Volk has just done it in July. They are both obviously capable. They're two of the top three best fighters in the world, regardless of weight class, but neither man can get finished. And that is what makes it so fun. Yes, Islam's only loss was by knockout. Okay, you got me there, but you guys get the point. These are at the top of their game. These two fighters right now in their prime in Islam Makhachev. Maybe just now starting to come out of the prime in Volkanovski, but I'm not ready to commit to that because he hasn't shown it yet. This is going to be insane. We're in for a treat. If you're a fight fan, it can't get much better than this. Maybe it doesn't blow the roof off on the box office, right? Or get all the millions and millions and millions of views on social media for some animosity or hatred or heat. But man, 9 times out of 10, I'll take a rivalry like this over the kind of forced, cringy trash talk that we can get sometimes, because this is the best in the world at 155 versus the best in the world at 145. Both men looking to cement legacies, both men looking to make history, chase greatness, etch themselves in stone in MMA history. That's why fights like this are so special. And the fact that we get it twice in the same year in 2023 says all that needs to be said about this fight. UFC 294 main event, Islam Makhachev, Alexander Volkanovski. They're running it back. Give me all of your predictions. Who's going to win? How are they going to win? Will it be a draw? I hope it's not a draw. But give me all of your thoughts on any possible outcome that you see. I have a hard time making a prediction. I have a hard time having a lean in this fight because of the way that Volk seems to be approaching this as compared to the last one. I partially want to lean Islam. He is the betting favorite, minus 278. Volk plus 225 on the comeback. Islam's been in a training camp. Alexander Volkanovski, I think, even had like a little minor surgery after the Yair Rodriguez fight, coming in off of the couch, if you will. It's a tall task for him for sure, but if anyone can get it done, I believe it can be Volk here. So let me know what you guys think. If you guys enjoyed this video, drop a like, subscribe to the channel if you are new. If you've been following along with the adjustments and changes of the show, hopefully you guys are enjoying this new look. I told you guys on YouTube it was going to come. You just had to be patient. So we're going to continue polishing this up. New logo, new colorways. Let me know what you think about that as well. And I'll see you in our next fight breakdown. And yeah, enjoy the fights this weekend. They're going to be insane.